Good corner, holding free header, and what a comeback! It's in. Rob Holding has got the touch.
Why was I wearing shorts? That's what really pops to mind when I see it. I feel so skinny in that photo. The Monday morning, went to Bolton just as usual, and the manager pulled me in and just said, like, we're accepting the offer from Arsenal now. And I had to get the train down the next day, and then on Wednesday did my medical, went to the training ground and did all the photos for actually signing. I remember the first time I actually went out to watch the training at Arsenal was Callum Chambers came over. Obviously I'd met him that summer in Toulon tournament with England, and he came over and just sort of had a little chat and made me feel welcome and sort of helped me sort of in day-to-day stuff, like from the gym to the canteen, going out to training, where to put boots on and stuff. He really showed me the ropes in that aspect. It was a total step up from where I was at and how fast the ball was moving, and everyone was playing one-touch passes. I think I adapted to that quite well, and after a few training sessions sort of got into the swing of things. But yeah, it did take me from surprise, the initial speed of it. First time going to the Emirates and sort of seeing the stadium and seeing the pitch. When I found out I was starting, I think it was the day before, I wasn't really overthinking it that much, like that night, thinking like, oh, I'm starting tomorrow, and I didn't really appreciate how big of a game it was until I was sort of out on the pitch and you realise there's like 60-odd thousand people watching and all cheering and stuff, and that's when I sort of realised like, oh, this is actually quite important. The speed of Liverpool, and they were sort of in that transition from where they were when Klopp took over to sort of pushing on to be like the title contenders that they are now. And then I remember Coutinho being like so hard to control. He just dropped off the front line and picked up the ball in places that you just couldn't go and press. So it was difficult, but the lads were training at that level as well. So I was sort of used to the level in terms of how fast it was. But yeah, it was good. It was sort of baptism of fire, but we got through it in the end. So I remember when I first got to the training ground, and he was just walking past, and he turned around, obviously realised it was me, and someone said hello and welcome to Arsenal and stuff. And then obviously spoke to him a lot on the way out to training. Sort of I'd be out earlier, and me and him would just have a little chat and just sort of see how you were feeling as a player and how you were finding it.
Fortunately, nobody speaks about the performance of Rob Holding today. You should be happy. He's English, he's 20 years old, but I'm sorry it didn't cost 55 million, so it cannot be good.
It was obviously quite funny what he said as well, but it was nice to have that sort of manager like of Arsene Wenger's stature, sort of defending you as a player and rating you so highly. So that was it was nice to read and nice to hear him say when I watched back the clip a few times, and it still gets posted like on Instagram and stuff. Like the quote always comes up. I always end up seeing it somewhere. It's I think that was one that I posted on my Instagram actually. That one. It's a great photo because I could just look out and just see like a sea of fans just all absolutely buzzing. And yeah, it was just a special moment to sort of raise a trophy to the fans. I didn't really appreciate it at the time. Like I've said in previous interviews, that when the Ox came up to me and sort of said at the end of the game, he just said like, you won't appreciate what you've done and how you played today until a couple of days later, which was so true. And it was like that week later, I was just looking back, so I was about to go on holiday, and I was just thinking like, wow, that's surreal, like, what's just happened there. I think whenever you've got someone like Per Mertesacker alongside you, you feel like you're in safe hands, and the way he controlled that back line and swept up after everyone. I mean, I remember a tackle in the first half where I think someone played the ball down the side of me, and Costa was running behind, and as I turned around and seen Costa like running onto the ball, I just seen Per's big long leg come across and just block the shot and clear it. It's nice having like a safety blanket like that behind you. He was top as a captain, like he set the standard and you had to meet his standards or you'd get left behind really. I knew on the game he just said, just focus on your game, don't worry about the occasion too much. You'll be fine, you know, and that sort of confidence that he gives you just made it seem a lot easier than it should have been really. I think it's just a bit of my mentality, just a bit rough and ready, and if there's a fight I'm not going to back away from it. I'm going to stand up and not be walked over. I knew he likes to play the mind games and try and get in your head, so I was just sort of adamant that I'd play physical with him, but then as soon as it'd end or like the referee would give a decision or whatever, I'd just jog back into my position and get set for whatever happened next. So I didn't really need to get involved with what he was trying to do. It just wasn't in my agenda to do that. It was a nice moment to get the first goal. I went crazy. It was like 3-0 and I went crazy as if it was like a last-minute winner. Theo took a corner and I think it was Per that flicked it on at the near post, and I was just sort of carrying my running at the back post, and it just sort of fell in front of me at my feet, and I just sort of put it in, and then the fans were just sort of behind the goal there, and I just remember running off, jumping up and down like crazy. It wasn't something that I had like a weight on my shoulders thinking like, oh, I need to score here, I need to score eventually. I knew it'd happen sooner or later, but yeah, it was just a nice feeling to get your name on the score sheet. It was a difficult one to take, obviously. I was just on a really good run. I think I played like 22 games on the bounce or something like this, or similar. And I had my dad, my granddad, my uncle, my auntie, and my cousin, I think, all at that game. Obviously, they didn't know what had happened. Like, they obviously saw it, but it was just a bit of a innocuous challenge, really. It wasn't really like an obvious, devastating challenge. As soon as I could sort of text them and just be like, I'm okay. Like, we think it's a bad injury, but nothing. Don't worry about it too much. Enjoy the rest of the game. So I think they were okay. It was my mum that was more worried because she's always at home watching on TV. I had to bring her straight away and just sort of speak to her and just sort of settle her down, because you know what mums are like. They get overprotective. I remember just not shaving or having my hair cut for so long after that injury. I just couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed really. But the rehab was sort of laid out for me in stages, and as I ticked each thing off, I knew I was getting closer to being out on the grass. I mean, you're in an environment that's everyone's goal, to get me back on the pitch as quick as possible and as strong as possible. Our physio at the time, he used to come round to my house, and I remember it was like 2 days after the surgery and he was at my house getting my kneecap moving. I'm thinking, can we just give it a couple of days to let it settle down first before we start messing about with it? And Welbs was injured as well at the time, and it was really nice to sort of have him by my side, and stuff like the bike sessions there that are just grueling, and having his positivity every day. We sort of carried each other through and helped each other keep our minds off our injury and not being involved. It's a team effort. It's not just focused on me and how I want to sort of get back. It comes down to the staff, and each day sort of having that same enthusiasm to do the right things that day. And I think that was the good thing about being at Arsenal. They have a really tight-knit group that all support each other. I did have a cameraman follow me around a few days in the gym that was annoying, but he did his best he could. I mean, you really bonded there, didn't we? We did, yeah. I mean, it's a great photo that with Callum in behind and then Kieran Tierney just a little bit further back jogging in. I think the only way that photo could have been better is if Hector was on side of me as well, because he just come back from his ACL. So yeah, it was a crazy game. It was a perfect way for it to sort of come full circle. I up for a corner late on. I think Mesut was going off, so I got the armband, and yeah, just cross come in, first touch as the captain, put it in the back of the net. So yeah, it's sort of a dream way for it to end, and a lot of good people on the pitch that were supporting me the whole way through the journey as well. I was doing an interview for BBC, I think, at the time or something like that, and I just remember seeing all the lads have that photo, and I thought, oh, I'm not missing this photo. So I said, I've got to go, and just sort of ran across and slid back in and dropped at the front there. And yeah, really good photo with all the team, all the staff and stuff. I don't know what it is about Wembley and us, we just seem to step up our game, and everyone just seems everyone's together as soon as we're on that pitch, because it's a one-off game as well. End of Mikel's first year as he's come in to end with a trophy. It was brilliant, and that's his first trophy as a manager as well, so I'm sure that's a massive one that he'll never forget. Obviously you come in, and I think I was just sort of coming back from my injury and had a few knocks. I wasn't training, I wasn't in his eye, so I think that made it a bit more difficult for me to sort of influence him in terms of playing me and having me in his team. And during obviously the lockdown, I just used it as a chance for me to get fully fit and be ready for like the restart. And I think that's from the restart I sort of impressed him with the way I was training and how I ended up playing in games, and sort of come on leaps and bounds from there, and maybe changed his estimations about me, and we're now in a really positive place with him, which is good. You've got to always make sure you're ready and pushing, even if I'm training as hard as I can and still not getting a look in, but it's making the other centre-halves realise that, oh, he's pushing really hard here, and maybe I need to step up my game, and it makes them step up the game, then that's fair enough. It's for the benefit of the team in the end of the day, so I'm all for it. Well, it seems like it was years later from my injury, but it's the same year as the year that the Forest game was, the same season. So it was important to make that, get that photo with the backroom staff and just sort of say we've come a long way and we've ended it with a trophy. So there was no better way to end it, really. First time I'd played since being back there, and I remember it's always a bit surreal when walking out at Old Trafford anyway, and then adding the fact that the last time I was there I was being stretchered off. I was in my head, I was thinking, right, well, I'm going to make sure I'm walking off the pitch this time at least. 2 weeks before, I was in the warm-up against City at the Etihad and felt my hamstring go, and I had like a little grade 2 tear in that. But I knew this game was coming up and we had a few more injuries, and we suddenly had no centre-halves, and I was like pushing myself in the 2-week rehab to get ready for this game. And to finish and win 1-0 and came full circle, and it's been probably 2 years from that injury. It's been a long journey, but yeah, I can sort of put that behind me now and focus on what's to come in the future. It's a massive moment for me personally. You're stepping into sort of big shoes from legends of the past that have won the armband. In a Premier League game, it feels that bit more special. And I know we didn't get the result, but I enjoyed sort of having the responsibility and being the guy to sort of get the team going and be sort of an extra motivation for the team. So I don't overthink like, oh, I need to act like this now because I want to be a leader, or I need to respect this because I need to be a leader. It's just sort of how I am as a person, and I think that's what makes people think that I would be a good leader, because of how I am. I just sort of live my life and do the things that I want to do, and how I treat people is how I want to be treated back. So, and I just think it's just how I am as a person. I think that's why I end up wearing the armband for this game. I think people get up with everything being on demand and being like, right now we need to see a difference, and I think it is a process and it's things that take time, but we're heading in the right direction, and the mentality and the culture at the club is all changing to the positive, which will then go onto the pitch and end up in performances. So I think we're in a good place and we're on a good trajectory, and I think we just follow that now.